Hi everyone, my name is Mark, and today we're discussing a troubling case that has garnered significant attention. On September 22, 2023, the remains of Suzanne Morphew were discovered 3 years after her sudden disappearance on May 10, 2020. The Colorado Bureau of Investigation made this discovery while searching an area in Moffat County for a separate investigation, bringing new focus to Suzanne's long-standing missing person case. Initially, Suzanne's tumultuous personal life and conflicting accounts of events pointed towards her husband, Barry Morphew, as the primary suspect in what authorities suspected to be a homicide. Over the course of the investigation, more than 70 investigators dedicated around 1,000 hours to the case, issuing 135 search warrants and interviewing over 400 individuals. Ultimately, the police felt confident enough to charge Barry with first-degree murder. However, the charges were later dropped due to insufficient evidence and procedural missteps, leaving many with lingering doubts about his innocence. After the discovery of Suzanne's remains, located 50 miles outside the original search area, DNA evidence suggested a possible connection to a suspected serial killer. This revelation has led to renewed questions about what truly happened on the day Suzanne went missing. Was Barry Morphew more resourceful than authorities initially believed, or could there have been external factors involved in Suzanne's disappearance? Suzanne was born on April 11, 1971, to parents Jane and Adrian in Alexandria. She grew up alongside her two brothers, David and Andrew, and was described by friends as intelligent and caring. Suzanne met Barry Morphew in high school, and after 6 years of dating, they married. Barry was a talented athlete signed to the Toronto Blue Jays, but an injury cut his sports career short, leading him to pursue a career in horticulture. While Suzanne taught for several years, Barry established his landscaping business, which flourished over time. The couple had 2 daughters, Mallory and Macy, and appeared to lead a perfect life in Indiana until Suzanne was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma. After overcoming cancer twice, the Morphew family relocated to Maysville, Colorado, in 2018 for a fresh start, seeking to be closer to their daughter, Mallory, who was attending Western State University. They settled on a beautiful 7-acre property, where Barry continued his work as a contractor and became a volunteer fireman. Suzanne shifted her focus to church activities and took up mountain biking, exploring new hobbies. From an outside perspective, the Morphew family seemed idyllic, but underlying issues began to emerge following the events of May 10, 2020. That Mother's Day began differently from typical celebrations at their home, with Barry and the girls leaving Suzanne alone. Barry claimed he had a landscaping appointment in Broomfield. 3 hours from Maysville by car, Barry Morphew and his daughters had planned a camping trip, intending to return home that evening to celebrate Mother's Day with Suzanne. However, the planned celebration never materialized. The girls texted their mother to wish her a happy Mother's Day but received no reply, which they found unusual, as she was typically active on social media. After several hours without communication, Mallory and Macy reached out to their neighbor, Martin Ritter, and his wife, asking them to check on Suzanne. Mrs. Ritter arrived at the Morphew residence around 4 to 4:30 p.m. but found the house empty. She called Barry to explain the situation, and he instructed her to look for Suzanne's mountain bike. If it wasn't there, she should contact the police. The police responded, and soon after, Barry and his daughters rushed home, eager to find out what happened to Suzanne. A few hours into their search, investigators uncovered their first significant clue: Suzanne's mountain bike, found off a steep ravine near their home. The location suggested a potential crash, yet there were no signs of a struggle, no skid marks, no damage to the bike, and no blood in the surrounding vegetation. It appeared that the bike had been placed there intentionally. When Barry was informed of this, his reaction was perplexing, introducing his mountain lion theory, which would be one of several unusual stories he told investigators during the search for his wife. Many found Barry's behavior during this time suspicious. In a recorded conversation with YouTuber Tyson Draper, he elaborated on his mountain lion theory. Notably, he did not participate in the search efforts organized by Suzanne's brother, Andrew, who doubted Barry's story about the bike ride and speculated that Suzanne might have gone missing on May 9 instead of Mother's Day. Suspicion began to shift toward Barry when Suzanne's helmet was discovered a mile away from their home, in the direction Barry's truck telemetry indicated he had traveled that morning. Initially, he claimed he woke up at 4:30 a.m. and left straight for Broomfield, but the telemetry data revealed he had driven 1 mile west before heading to the construction site. When confronted with this information, Barry suggested he had been scouting elk at that early hour, intending to track them later. However, when investigators noted that he couldn't have spotted elk if he had just woken up, he changed his account, stating he hadn't set an alarm. Barry claimed that May 9th was one of the best days they had shared in a while. He alleged he worked with a coworker that morning, returned early, hiked with Suzanne, grilled steak, and they were intimate before going to bed together. However, as the investigation progressed, inconsistencies in his statements began to emerge. Police analyzed Barry's phone and vehicle telemetry data from May 9, 2020, revealing discrepancies in his account of the day. Notably, his phone exhibited erratic movements around the property, and he switched it to airplane mode for several hours. Even the steak dinner he claimed to have shared with Suzanne was cast into doubt, as only one dirty dish was found instead of two. Additionally, at 9:30 p.m. that night, Barry's car was recorded reversing 96 feet from the driveway, which investigators speculated could have been the moment he loaded her body onto his truck. From 3:25 to 3:48 a.m., the records indicated that the door to his truck opened and closed over 80 times, raising questions about what Barry was doing during that time. Interviews with coworkers revealed that he wasn't supposed to be in Broomfield that day, as their contract wasn't set to start for another week. Barry claimed he had briefly visited several locations, but surveillance footage showed him disposing of 5 trash bags near McDonald's and a Holiday Inn. When confronted with this footage, Barry offered an odd explanation, saying he wanted to clean his car without incurring disposal fees. Furthermore, a coworker reported a strong smell of bleach and chlorine in Barry's hotel room a day after Suzanne's disappearance, and investigators noted that Barry changed clothes multiple times that day. Despite the troubling evidence against him, investigators initially struggled to find a clear motive. However, they uncovered text messages from Suzanne that indicated marital problems. In her notes, she expressed fears about Barry's behavior, his drinking, and possible infidelity. On May 20th, police discovered a pen Suzanne had purchased to record conversations with Barry, but it inadvertently captured her affair with a man named Jeff, which had lasted over a year. Although investigators cleared Jeff of involvement, they believed Barry had discovered the affair, further intensifying suspicions against him. A note Suzanne wrote just days before her disappearance hinted at the tensions in their marriage. The investigation revealed additional concerning findings: a tranquilizer dart cap in the dryer, a spent bullet casing in the bedroom, and remnants of Suzanne's journal in the fireplace. These clues suggested a possible premeditated act by Barry on May 9, 2020. After Suzanne sent numerous texts to her boyfriend at around 2:10 p.m., her phone was never used again. The public learned that Barry was a suspect in Suzanne's disappearance 2 weeks later when police excavated a construction site related to Barry's work. He released a video proclaiming his innocence. Barry was ultimately arrested on May 5, 2021, nearly a year after the investigation began. Although the evidence against him was primarily circumstantial, the prosecution was confident, charging him with first-degree murder, tampering with evidence, and other offenses. He also faced charges related to filing a fraudulent election ballot in Suzanne's name, for which he pled guilty. In a preliminary hearing held in August 2021, significant details of the case were revealed. The prosecution presented their theory that Barry killed Suzanne, disposed of her body, and attempted to conceal the crime. The defense countered, highlighting inconsistencies in the prosecution's case, including the lack of cadaver dogs finding remains in Barry's car or hotel room. The defense also pointed to evidence that did not match Barry's DNA, including partial DNA found in Suzanne's car and on her bike helmet, which linked to unsolved sexual assault cases. This raised reasonable doubt about Barry's guilt, and it was revealed that the investigators had failed to follow up on the foreign DNA matches, which could have aided Barry's defense. After a lengthy deliberation, the judge decided to move forward with the case, setting Barry's bail at $500,000. He was released just days before the trial was set to begin. Subsequently, the prosecution filed a motion to dismiss all charges against Barry without prejudice, meaning they could restart the case if new evidence arose. On September 22, 2023, investigators uncovered shallow graves in Moffat County, leading to the identification of Suzanne's remains. The discovery has prompted further questions about Barry's involvement, although authorities have stated that his truck was not in the area on the days of her disappearance. As the investigation continues, Barry's attorney has suggested that Suzanne may have been a victim of a serial killer. Meanwhile, Barry has initiated a $15 million lawsuit against various parties, claiming he was wrongfully charged in connection with his wife's disappearance and death.